In this tutorial we will give you a brief overview of the ABC stats. This video will go through how to add new stats and have them appear in the UI during play. We will also then recap on how to use stats to modify the potency of ability effects. In ABC you are able to create as many stats as you want which can be used to modify effects. For example, you can configure for effects to do more damage or having character take less damage the more defense they have. There is also the option for ability effects to modify stats, for example if you want to create a spell which will temporarily boost the defense of allies. It is worth noting that when using the ABC character creator that 3 stats will automatically be created: strength, magic and defense. These stats are also used throughout the pre-made global ability and effects to save you time and also demonstrate how stats can be used. All stats are managed in the ABC State Manager component which should be added to your characters. Stats are local to the character, so you are able to make certain characters stronger in different stats to keep enemies and characters dynamic and varied in power or difficulty. To load the stats you first need to select the character and then navigate to the State Manager component in the inspector. From here you can select the State Manager button which will open up a new box for configuration. In the new window we will first proceed to the General and Stats section under the Settings tab. Once loaded you will see the ABC Character Creator default stats already created at the bottom. In this tutorial we will be creating a new stat called Dexterity. To add a new stat we will first navigate and press the Add Stat button which will add a new stat to the list. From here we will then proceed to name the stat. The text entered here is also the ID of the stat which will need to be rewritten in different parts of ABC to link stats, for example when configuring effect potency. With the stat named we will then give it a starting value. You will notice under each stat is a toggle named More Settings. Hitting this will show further settings which can be configured to show stat values during play in the UI. All you need to do to link a stat to the UI is select or drop in a Unity text objects from your scene into the additional settings that are now showing. The text objects placed here will be used to show the current stat value during play. In this example we are going to copy one of the existing stat objects created from the ABC Character Creator which already has a text object inside. Once copied we will reposition it and rename the object Dexterity. With the object renamed we will then drop the Unity text object into the text stat value setting in ABC. In this example we have not made use of the text stat name setting, but as done just now you have the option to create a second Unity text object which when dropped in this setting will have ABC display the name of the stat during play. After a quick change of the icon we can load up the game and see the stat values that are now showing in the UI we just linked in the config. The last part of the tutorial is a recap on how to link stats which can modify the potency of effects. For this example we will be modifying the effect we created in a previous tutorial which will increase the caster's magic stat temporarily once the effect is applied on an enemy. In other words, when the fireball hits an enemy it will do damage and raise the caster's magic stat. We are going to modify the adjust stat effect so that the amount of magic increased is modified by the amount of dexterity the caster already has. Dexterity being the stat we just added. To achieve this we are going to change the potency stat modification so it now adds on an additional 10% of the caster's dexterity stat to the effect's potency. Back in game you will see by casting the ability the magic stat has been increased on the caster by 30 which has been increased by the base 20 due to the involvement of the dexterity stat. If we now go back to the dexterity stat and increase the value, then casting the ability again will this time further increase the magic stat on collision by 40 instead, as the dexterity stat is now higher. That concludes the tutorial on ABC stats. In future we will be expanding stats further by looking into integrations with other assets. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified of future tutorials where we will go over other ABC functionality.